So John David Jackson has finally broken his silence on his relationship with Sergey Kovalev. And I wondered when this was going to happen because we all saw it coming, or most of us did. There'd been rumors for a very long time that John David Jackson and Sergey Kovalev were not exactly getting along too well behind the scenes. John David Jackson, for whatever reason, remained tight-lipped and acted as though there was nothing untoward going on. Well, he was fired by Sergey Kovalev, seemingly following Kovalev's second loss to Andre Ward. And now, in an interview on ATG Radio, he's just letting it all hang out. He's going all out on Sergey Kovalev. So I'm going to quote John David Jackson here. It's quite a long interview, so sit tight and listen to what John David Jackson has said. First of all, he's asked about his current status with Sergey Kovalev. He says, right now, by the looks of it, I am not his trainer anymore. I was there for the rematch because there really wasn't anything for us. Adonis hadn't stepped up to the plate. That was the logical fight for him. I knew for the second fight that Ward was going to crowd him. If you give Sergey distance, you're in trouble. Ward is a very intelligent fighter, so he knew going into the second fight that he had to crowd Sergey. I knew that we couldn't have won the rematch. Sorry, I knew that we could have won the rematch, but Sergey started making money, getting big-headed, and he didn't want to train hard anymore. Every camp was worse and worse. I wanted the second fight to prove that we won the first fight, but in camp for the second fight, he did less than the first. If he isn't hungry anymore, that's on him. He showed his true colors, but if he comes back, he is damaged goods. He would probably beat a couple of guys, but now they know your secret. You can't take it to the body. You're in trouble. I've been trying to teach him for years to fight on the inside. In camp, Don Turner was there and can witness. I was doing some body work on Sergey. I made him fold up. I'm 54 years old and he couldn't take it. I told Don if Ward can get inside, withstand his early shots, then Sergey is in trouble. And that is what happened. He proved me right. Before the second fight, I didn't say much. I wasn't trying to build the fight up or brag on my guy because I knew if Ward fought even half as he did last fight, then it was over. John David Jackson goes on to talk about where the blame lies for the second fight with Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev losing. So John David Jackson says, Sergey likes to talk trash. He said a couple of things. He's blaming me for the loss. But let me tell you, let me tell you this. You can't blame me for your loss when you quit. He quit. Once Andre started hitting him to the body, he was done. I told Don Turner in camp, if Ward goes to the body, Sergey is done. He can't take it to the body. So right now, he is trying to blame me for his loss. But if you don't train properly for the fight, you can't blame me. You can't blame me for things that you don't do in camp that make you a better fighter and win a fight. He then goes on to talk about this whole controversy. Remember, there was a controversy with John David Jackson being tapped up by Team Ward. Them making him an offer to cross over to the other side. So I'm going to quote him talking about the whole controversy with Ward and his team. So John David Jackson says, I got a call, but I kept it under wraps. A call to switch camps. Sergey and I have been through stuff for years, but he's a real asshole. He is really bad. So I got a phone call from somebody in Ward's camp and said, what do you think about coming to our side? And then I said that you would have to make it worth my while. But if I do this, they are going to call me a traitor and then a backstabber. But they don't know how this guy is in camp. So think about it. You call me in January, fight is in June, but you are dragging on. It got to the point that I was in the office every fight. This guy, Kovalev, wants to cut my purse. He is a real piece of work. I was even guaranteed by others that I would get my full percentage after the fight, but it was dragged out by Ward's side. It was not Andre Ward's fault, let me say that. I'm not blaming anybody. It just didn't work out. So I stayed on Kovalev's side, but he didn't train. If you knew this cat in real life, you would want to leave his camp too. He makes Russian people look bad. All the Russians I've trained, they are wonderful people, man. They would give you the shirt off their back. This guy is a complete dick. He wants everything for himself. Just a really selfish person. I hate to say it, but I heard he is saying all kinds of stuff. He is just that bad. But here is my thing. Here is my thing. People said, well, why? Oh, sorry. Well, you should have just left. But my loyalty was to main events and his manager because they were always good to me. They made sure that every fight I got paid what I was supposed to. This cat here, when he got paid, he didn't want to pay you. I stayed for them. And finally, Kovalev goes on to talk about, John David Jackson goes on to talk about Kovalev's future. He says, man, everyone has a hard time with Kovalev. He thinks that he did everything himself. He gave me no credit. Main events, no credit. He says that he done it all on his own. Every fight he became worse and worse. All I say is that the next person who trains him better get a contract signed before because you won't get paid what you're supposed to. You know, it's bad when everything that the guy has, he has his emblems on it. Crusher on everything. His car, his house, everything in the gym has it. The bags, everything. But when all of this shit drops, he is going to see how it is for him. Main events, they still need him, and hopefully he will be there for them. At light heavyweight, he had such a hard time making weight, first of all. There isn't much he can do at light heavyweight now. This other kid, Artur Beterbiev, he was the person that I always thought would have beat Sergey. The reason why I say that is because he is a tremendous puncher and would have went to his body. He would break Sergey down. Andre was just smarter and got to him first. So those are the words of John David Jackson, the former trainer of Sergey Kovalev. A few things to say about this, people. Obviously, people are going to say John David Jackson is bitter. But as bitter as he might be, you can't come out with all this kind of stuff, as detailed as it is, without there being some type of truth to what you're saying. And he's definitely not the first trainer to come out and say that Kovalev is a very difficult person to deal with. Because Abel Sanchez said the exact same thing. You know, Abel Sanchez ain't having no problems with Gennady Golovkin. They got a tight, close relationship, Sanchez and Golovkin, no problem. But when he trained Kovalev, he described Kovalev as untrainable. And I believe he parted ways with Kovalev or said he didn't want him in the gym, or I think he kicked him out or Kovalev left. I can't remember now. But still, Abel Sanchez said you can't train Kovalev. Nobody can really train him. And judging by what Jackson is saying here, I guess this is why. Kovalev appears to be, if Jackson's portrayal and if Sanchez's portrayal of him is true, is accurate, Kovalev appears to be a narcissist. That's what it seems to be. This guy believes that he is the best of the best and that nobody can tell him anything and that there's nothing you can teach him because he knows it all. You know, that's how he appears to be, very narcissistic. And that's not a good sign because boxing is a team situation. You have to have a team around you to be successful in boxing. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be with a promoter, but in terms of your training setup, it has to be a team, man. You can't do it all by yourself. Whereas Kovalev, obviously, by the sounds of things, is trying to do it by himself. And it's not a good sign moving forward if Kovalev is really like this with the people who train him. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, people. Kovalev is, what, in his 30s now? Early, mid-30s? I seriously doubt he'll be able to change his personality. You know, I seriously doubt it. If he believes that he's infallible, if he believes that he knows it all, then, as Abel Sanchez said, maybe he's just untrainable. There's no way you can send him. There's nothing you can tell him. He believes that he knows everything there is to know about boxing. And that is what that is. So let me know how you feel about this in the comment section below, people. What else did John David Jackson say here that was of interest to me? Well, he said that Kovalev don't like it to the body. He said his body is vulnerable. He said he one time was, I guess, kind of body sparring with Kovalev. He hit him in the body and folded Kovalev in half. Definitely not a good sign, but I suppose that shows that Kovalev don't really like to get them sit-ups in and all that kind of strength and conditioning work. If he really is as vulnerable to the body as they say. So that's also a revelation of one of Kovalev's potential weaknesses, is he don't like it to the body. I don't know. Anyway, let me know how you feel about this in the comment section below, people. It's happening. I'm out.